Hey guys, Chris Cook in Nashville here. Welcome to a very special edition of a recipe here in my kitchen. Today is actually my birthday. It's the end of July. By the time you're seeing this, it'll be August, but it's the end of July. It is my birthday today. For those of you that don't know, I'm doing this carnivore diet thing, and I have some spices and some seasonings, and dairy, that kind of thing, but I don't do any of the vegetables, the fruits, any of that kind of stuff, and I don't do any sweeteners. So I'm trying to stick to that for a full 365 days. I'm over halfway through and I'm trying to stick to it. So I was talking with my wife and I was like, what are you gonna do about a birthday cake? Want to get a steak? Do you want to whatever? But that wouldn't be the Chris Cooking Nashville style. So instead, I experimented with a few things and I'm gonna share with you guys today. I am making myself a carnivore birthday cake. I'm doing a carnivore cheddar Swiss roll style cake. It's savory, and then inside there's going to be a cream cheese filling with shrimp and smoked salmon and chives and a little bit of cheddar and feta cheese cooked in. It's gonna be absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to show you guys how to do this, and if you want to do a savory version or a sweet version of this for the keto, ketovore, and carnivore people in your family for their birthday or any special occasion, you're gonna be able to do just that. So let's take a look at the ingredients. Let me show you what we got going on, and let's make a carnivore birthday cake. For the yolk part of the mixture, we're gonna separate out 7 eggs. There's gonna be 7 egg yolks in this bowl. We're gonna have 7 egg whites that get whipped in a separate bowl. For the cake itself, we're also gonna have 1 of these blocks of cream cheese. Those are 8 ounces. We're going to have 2 tablespoons of melted butter. I'm gonna do about 2 tablespoons of pork crumbs. You can do any kind of meat flour. If you don't eat pork, that's totally fine. You can do any kind of meat flour, or honestly, you can skip it. It's just a nice texture. We're gonna have about 2 teaspoons of beef gelatin powder. Any unflavored gelatin powder will work. We're gonna do about 2 to 3 tablespoons of the egg white powder, and we're gonna check the texture before we actually decide how many to use. I have about 1/3 of a cup of shredded cheddar cheese and about 2 tablespoons of crumbled feta cheese. I'm gonna mix that in with the cake as well. And then for the filling that's gonna go inside of the cake, we're going to have another block of the cream cheese as well as 2 tablespoons of sour cream. We have smoked salmon, shrimp, and totally optional seasonings, paprika, garlic powder, black pepper, and chives. Okay, so that's going to be everything. We're going to, very much like I do the pizza crust or other recipes, we're going to separate out the eggs, mix all of the fatty ingredients in this bowl, whip the egg whites and a little bit of the egg white powder in another bowl, combine that back together in a souffle type method, and then I'm gonna show you how we bake it. So let's go ahead and mix this all together, and let's make the carnivore birthday cake. There's a little bit of egg yolk in my egg whites, and if you have any egg yolk in there whatsoever, they will not whip up properly, so I'm gonna get them out. So we have 7 egg yolks in the bowl. 1 block of softened cream cheese goes into that. We're also gonna add our 1/3 cup of shredded cheddar and about 2 tablespoons of the crumbled feta right on top. We're gonna use a mixer and combine these really well. Next is 2 teaspoons of gelatin and about 2 tablespoons of the pork rind crumbs or any meat flour that you want to use, or if you don't want to use this, you can totally do it without it. It's just nice for the texture. And 2 tablespoons of melted butter. Combine this really well. I'm gonna go ahead and add about 1/4 teaspoon of paprika. Now we're gonna add a couple of tablespoons of the egg white powder. And I'm gonna start with 2 tablespoons. We can do a little bit more if need be, but I want to go for this kind of thick, creamy texture. I don't want it to get too dry to where it won't actually mix with the egg whites. So I'm gonna start with 2 and then we're gonna check the texture. Okay, you can see this is fairly thick. I don't want this any drier than this, so I'm gonna stick with just the 2. Now, if it's still a little runny, you can go ahead and add a 1/3 tablespoon, but I'm gonna be putting a little bit in with the egg whites anyway to make them whip a little bit better, so I'm gonna stick with this right here. Now I'm gonna use the whisk and mix this on high and try to whip some air into it. Okay, so we have a nice whipped mixture. It is firm, but it is still very soft and will fall apart. Fall off with your spatula, just like that. That's perfect. Now, this next thing is totally optional. You don't have to do this, but with these kinds of things, I just really like doing this. I'm actually gonna add about a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. I'm not gonna measure it. It's not that important. Just somewhere in the range of a 1/4 to a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda if you want to do that. I don't mind it. This is not baking powder. This is baking soda. Baking soda is a mineral. It's like a salt. It interacts with the cream cheese and it just helps to puff this a little bit more. It's gonna make it a little more like a cake. So I'm gonna grab some baking soda and I'm actually gonna go ahead and put just about a 1/4 teaspoon in here. While the baking soda sits and reacts with this mixture, we're gonna whip up the egg whites over here in my stand mixer. You can use a hand mixer, whatever you gotta do. Just make sure you don't have any fat of any kind in the bowl, because if you have fat in the bowl, those egg whites are not going to want to whip. So you can clean your bowl out with vinegar. That's a really great way to do that. You can wash it really, really well, wipe it out with a paper towel, make sure it's really nice and clean, and that'll help your egg whites whip up. We're also gonna add just a little bit of the egg white powder to it. That'll also help your egg whites whip up. So let's go whip up the egg whites. All right, so we're gonna put our egg whites into our stand mixer. This has been well cleaned so that there is no fat. You don't have to do this, but I am going to add about a teaspoon of egg white powder. It just dries this mixture out. It helps it whip up to stiff peaks, and it holds up to being mixed in with the fat mixture just a little bit better. So we're gonna put in about a teaspoon of egg white powder. So we start on low and then we'll go up to high. Once it starts getting frothy, we're gonna go ahead and just scrape down the sides, make sure we have any of those lumps of egg white powder that are stuck to the sides. Just make sure we scrape those down in, and then we'll turn this back up on high until we get a shaving cream kind of texture, basically stiff egg white peaks. Okay, and you can see we have a nice stiff peak. See how that stands up like that? It's a nice stiff peak, kind of a shaving cream texture. That's what we're looking for. That took about 5 minutes or so. This is a fairly powerful mixer. If you're using a hand mixer, it might take a little bit longer than that, but that's the texture we're looking for. Now we're gonna combine this with our other mixture. Okay, so we're gonna combine these two mixtures together. We're gonna take about a 1/3 of the egg white mixture and fold it in. Be pretty aggressive with it, really get it in there. That's gonna lighten this up. And then we'll put the other 2/3 in and do it a little more gently. Okay, so that's really well mixed in. There are no egg white lumps or streaks. Now we can mix in the rest of the egg whites, and we're gonna do it just a little more gently. Try to preserve as much of that puffiness as we can. Right, and there's a nice mixture. You can see it's much fluffier and lighter. There are no white streaks left, but there's lots of air that is still preserved in that because we were a little more gentle with it. Now all we gotta do is bake it. Okay, so I have a baking sheet, which I have covered with parchment paper. If you have a hard time getting the parchment paper to stay in your baking sheet, just push it down, get right up into the sides, and push into the corners, crease the paper a little bit. That way it'll stay in place a little bit better for you. So I would always call this a cookie sheet, but I guess technically this is a jelly roll pan because it has the sides It's meant for doing roll cakes, exactly like this. So we're just gonna take our mixture now, and we're gonna pour it right into the middle. Okay, we're gonna use any spatula you've got will work, but I've got these little angled spatulas here, so I'm going to use an angled spatula. We're just gonna try to spread this fairly evenly across the pan so that it bakes in a nice even shape. When you guys are doing stuff like this in the kitchen, don't try to work around your gear. Make your gear work around you. So as I'm trying to spread this, if I go to this corner over here, that's easy, great. Getting back to this corner is difficult. Spin your pan. Don't be afraid to move your gear around. Make your gear work for you because it makes it much easier to be confident in the kitchen when you make every step as convenient as possible for yourself. Okay, so we get a nice even layer. Doesn't matter if there's little lumps here and there, that's okay. This is going to kind of soften and run a little bit as it starts to bake, but we just kind of want it to be generally as spread evenly as we can get it. This is going to go in a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven for anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes. We're going to start checking on it at about 17 minutes. As soon as it is puffy to the touch, you may see it's just starting to brown slightly in edges around the top. We do not want it to start browning too much. We want it to remain very soft. So as soon as it is puffy to the touch and no longer soft in the center, we can go ahead and pull it out and let it cool. It's going to take anywhere between 20 and 25 minutes if your oven is at 350 and it is calibrated properly. So let's go ahead and throw it in the oven. All right, we're gonna work on the filling while the cake is in the oven. So this is another block of softened cream cheese. I'm just going to whip that up really quickly. And to that cream cheese, we're going to add about a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of dry thyme, maybe a 1/4 to a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper based on your taste, about a 1/4 teaspoon of paprika. This is around a 1/4 cup of chopped shrimp. You can put literally anything in this filling that you want. The seasonings are always optional. This is just the way I'm doing it, so I took some small pre-cooked shrimp that I had. There's about 12 to 15 of them in there, and it comes out to maybe between a 1/4 and a 1/3 of a cup of chopped shrimp. So we're gonna mix this all together. Next, I'm gonna add about a 1/2 teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of chopped chives. I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons of sour cream. Let's taste it for seasoning, just make sure if it needs salt or anything else. What we've essentially made here is kind of like a shrimp salad. Tastes fantastic. It does need a little bit of salt. So I'm gonna grab some salt really quickly. I'm gonna do about a 1/2 teaspoon. You just have to taste it, salt it to your taste. Just make sure it tastes nice to you. About a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. It's not real vital, just whatever tastes good to you. Okay, we're gonna check it for seasoning one more time. Much better. As I'm tasting it, I think I'm going to make it just a little more robust. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add some stone ground mustard. Now, not very much, maybe a teaspoon. It's gonna give just this robust sort of undertone to this cream cheese shrimp mixture. It's gonna be really, really nice. Maybe like a teaspoon and a half. And then we're gonna mix that through. We're gonna grab a fresh spoon, we're gonna taste it one more time just to make sure we're happy. The mustard just rounds that flavor out. Make this however you want, but man, mustard does not bother me. If it does not bother you, this is a really nice combination with all the spices, with the mustard. This is fantastic. So what I'm gonna do is spread this on the cake, and then I have some smoked salmon that I'm gonna cut into strips, and we're gonna put strips of smoked salmon, roll the cake up, and then you're gonna have the cream cheese and the salmon, and it's time to check on the cake apparently. Okay, you guys can see the cake is puffing up. It's a little jiggly still. We're gonna put it back in. We're gonna let it go another 3 to 4 minutes. That'll bring us to 21 minutes. So we'll check on it again in 4 minutes and we'll see where it's at. 4 minutes later, let's see what we got. It's puffy. We're gonna give it another 2 minutes. It's almost done. So that'll bring it up to 23 minutes. And I have a feeling it's going to be done. We can always go another minute or two if need be, but I think about 23 minutes is gonna be perfect. That feels puffy all the way around. That was 23 minutes. We're gonna pull this out, bring it over here on a wire rack so that it is off the surface of the counter, just so it can start to cool. And then here in just a minute, we're gonna go ahead and get the actual paper peeled off of it, and I'll show you how we roll it so we can let it cool the rest of the way as it's already rolled up. It's gonna make your life a lot easier. All right guys, so I have this off of the cooling rack. I just used the paper to pick it up off of the cookie sheet. Now what we need to do is we need to get it off the paper and onto a clean kitchen towel. You can use another piece of parchment paper if you want, but a kitchen towel really does work better because it's softer. We go to roll this and the cake breaks. It's okay, it's not the end of the world. We're gonna glue it together with some filling anyway, but hopefully with the gelatin and the butter and the cream cheese and the other cheese and stuff in there, hopefully this won't break. So it's nice and soft, it's puffy, but it is still very, very warm. You wanna do this before it cools. On this kitchen towel, center it. I've pulled the edges away so I know it's not sticking. I'm gonna pick it up and turn it over, right on top of the kitchen towel. Reach across and at a sharp angle, see, don't come up, pull back towards you, keep this at a sharp angle. Peel that paper right off, be thrown away. Now, we need to get rolled and hopefully not break it. So we're gonna take the end of the towel, lay it over the top, because we want to keep the towel between the layers of the cake so that it does not stick, especially if you're doing a sweet cake that has like allulose or some other kind of sweetener in it. You really don't want this to stick. Carefully, we're just gonna gently roll. Don't push it too hard. You don't wanna force it. Gently roll while it is still hot, just like this. And once it drops over the edge of the cake right there, there is our rolled cake, and I feel like it didn't break. It didn't feel anything crack. Now we can let it cool, and then we'll put our filling on, we'll roll it back up, and I'll show you guys how we finish it. All right, y'all, so the cake has cooled, and we're gonna unroll it, we're gonna stuff it, and we'll show you how we finish it. What we're gonna do is unroll our carnivore cake. All right, no broken spots. Pull on the towel a little bit, make sure it's not stuck to it. So now, all we need to do, I've had the filling hanging out in the fridge for just a little bit, just to kind of firm up some. Doesn't have to be a lot, but a little bit. So we're gonna put this on top. We're gonna spread everything across. Now, this little edge right here, this is the one that rolls the tightest. We're gonna spread the cream cheese all the way to this edge. We're gonna leave about an inch, maybe an inch and a half on this end where we're not gonna spread the cream cheese all the way, because when you go to roll it, it is going to spread cream cheese further and we don't want it squeezing out the end of the cake. So we're gonna leave it about an inch and a half of unfrosted, if you will, cake on that end. See, that's about all the further I'm gonna go. Now, we're gonna lay our smoked salmon slices over the top. Okay, we're gonna roll this up and then we're gonna sit it on this cutting board. We're just gonna stick this whole thing in the fridge and we're gonna chill it down. So we come in, roll. Now don't crush it. Try to keep it tight, but don't crush it because we're not trying to break it here. On that edge, press down gently, so that way it sits there. There is our carnivore birthday cake. We just need to stick it in the refrigerator, let that cream cheese firm up, let it chill down. You can also, if you like, you can make cream cheese, a cheese sauce. any kind of carnivore approved anything you want, and you could pour it over the top and you could do it like icing on the cake. This is soft and it is cake textured. You can stick birthday candles in this. It is literally a carnivore birthday cake, and then we're just gonna cut it in slices. So after it's chilled and after we put it all together, I'll show you guys what it looks like. We'll show you a slice and we're gonna enjoy a birthday celebration. Okay, y'all, here is the carnivore birthday cake. It has chilled down, it has become firm. We're gonna cut into it. I'm gonna show you what the inside of it looks like, and then we're gonna plate it up here for the birthday celebration. All right, that looks absolutely fantastic. It is beautiful. I know it's gonna taste just as good as it looks, and hey, if you want to do the whole birthday thing, right, this is what's so cool about this. You can literally do your standard birthday cake stuff with this carnivore birthday cake. My wife was so adorable and got me some candles to put in my birthday cake this year. We're gonna go ahead, cut a slice off of this. We're gonna taste it for you. I'm gonna let you know how it is. All right, y'all, let's taste this cake. It looks amazing. It smells fantastic. I'm really excited about this. So if you want, come up here close. I'm gonna show you this texture. See how it is soft, it is cakey, it is beautiful. It just looks absolutely amazing. Let's see how it tastes. It's so good. It's buttery, it's soft. The cream cheese is, of course, creamy, but it's herby. Balances out the smoke and the salmon. That little bit of shrimp in that cream cheese gives it that seafood vibe. Oh, this is fantastic. There's absolutely no reason that I ever would need any kind of like a typical sweet birthday cake if I have something like this. This is absolutely wonderful. Guys, that's the recipe. If you get a chance, you should totally use this recipe. If you want to do a sweet cake because you're either keto or ketovore, or maybe you're a carnivore who occasionally would use some things like that. I've done this for my wife. I've done a chocolate version of keto chow mixed into it. You could use cocoa powder and just do chocolate. You could do whatever kinds of flavorings you want. You can make it sweet, you can make it savory, you can put whatever kind of filling in it you want. You can do fruit fillings, you could do fruit and cream cheese fillings. Guys, you could do anything with this you want. It is such an easy technique, and it's absolutely fantastic. It is moist, it is soft, it is tender, it is puffy, it is cakey, it is everything that you could possibly want a recipe like this to be. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of the birthday wishes you all have been giving me over the last week or so. It just means the world that you guys are here. I love every single one of you. All of my links are down below as usual if you want to join the band. That's the YouTube membership or the Patreon membership. $5 and up on Patreon, and YouTube members, you guys are going to get all those extra recipes. I'm working on a bunch more of those. My Amazon shop and my swag shop are down there if you want to get a t-shirt or you want to go and support me and get some of that stuff from Amazon, some of the pantry staples, things to make the pizzas, all different kinds of things. It's all down there. If you guys don't want to do that, that's cool. Give me a thumbs up on the video if you liked it. Make sure to leave a comment down below. Share. If you want to tell me happy birthday, put this on your social media and tell other people that I'm here, because nothing could mean more to me than you guys just helping me with this mission to change the world one plate at a time. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I love every single one of you. This is Chris Cook in Nashville. Eat your meat and your carnivore birthday cake. Love your life. I'm going to see you guys right here in the kitchen for the next recipe.